Okay, we're trying out this new segment where we actually review webcomics. Returning to review webcomics. This is brought to you by our cool fun backers at Subscribestar, where there's a bunch of extra videos, all sorts of extra hidden bonus videos that you can only view by supporting us on Subscribestar. But also supporting us on Subscribestar will get more of these. The Shitty Webcomics Weekly. There's all sorts of. I was thinking of naming it all sorts of things, but I'll just settle on that.
Man, a whole bunch of awesome creative names. Shitty Webcomics Weekly or SWCW.
Or Swiku.
Cool. I was
Um,
thinking about calling it like Shitty Webcomics Ascendant or Shitty Webcomics
Resplendent, I believe, was what you were. That's what you came up with before
Resplendent.
this,
Fucking
which would
Shitty
be
Web
Swicker, which I
Shitty
guess wouldn't be too bad.
Webcomics on the warpath again.
But yeah, somebody linked us to the recent Sinfest comics, and I was like, maybe there should be.
Do you remember Sinfest?
You
Do you
remember
remember the
Sinfest? So we figured we would go over it because the recent Sinfest, he's going based or something
you
allegedly.
might think that he has finally snapped. He has finally lost his damn mind.
He's lost his fucking mind and gone based. Oh no. He's criticizing the woke politics that he himself was completely in favor of. So the way I described it is he's just pulling an Ian Miles Cheong or
Ian Miles Chong.
like sort of like Andy Ngo. I'm pretty sure it's pronounced Andy Ngo. Anyways,
100% sure.
so the first one somebody suggested to us, they linked to this, and you probably can't see it on the screen because I would have to zoom in way. Actually, here, let me zoom in a lot. This I think this is the maximum. But if you see notice the different colors of the dots here. Can you actually see this on yours? I'm streaming this to my brother so he can actually look.
I sort of see the dots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you notice the coloration of the dots is because like he used to do, he saved every page as a
Yeah, that's right.
GIF because back then doing a black and white like line art in a GIF would result in a smaller file size, like 5 KB or 10 KB.
I don't know. Did they even have PNGs back then? I don't think
I
they
think they
did.
had PNGs, but it just wasn't seen as worth it, especially because like the file size, saving like a 500 KB file is like, oh, it's gonna take. It would take like 2 or 3 minutes to try to like,
We're talking
download
about
it.
the late 90s, yeah. The
Yeah,
late 1990s. You got to
early
remember
2000s
this comic has been around since then.
since
Since
about
Sluggy,
2000.
it was this and Sluggy Freelance.
Yeah,
And
Sluggy Freelance.
I guess also Penny Arcade.
Yeah, so just looking at this, I was like, it may be perhaps it's time to let the legend come back to life.
Hmm.
That's of course a reference to us, not to any dumb videos, stupid video games.
A reference to us, what we do,
It's what
how
we
we
do. It's what
live.
we're about. So yeah, I figured we would review once a week. We'll do reviews of some comics, including like some of the old classics. But as you were mentioning earlier, we're looking for new stuff. So if you have any suggestions for new comics, new web comics that are bad, or comics that we can read somehow that are legitimately bad, not just like boring, but they have
Well, I
to
want to see the
be this
suggestions.
bad.
I want people to make their suggestions so that we can at least go over a few of them.
Yeah, it has to
And
be something that has something to say about it.
the
So,
best way to do that is the Curious Cat.
yeah, and that'll be linked below. And
You can
anonymous
send us
postings
that.
available on that.
Curious Cat, you can just anonymously send us a question or a statement.
Or a link.
Does it allow links? Link to
It should
something,
allow
send us
links,
your link.
but if you at least say the name of the webcomic and or who makes it, we should be able to search for it ourselves. And
But
also,
yeah,
I forgot if we mentioned this, but
I don't want to cover the exact same shit that has been fucking covered a million times. Moon over June and all that
yeah,
other shit.
well, we can't do Moon over June, of course.
No.
Not unless I throw giant black bars over it or something. I would have to do editing, and that's work. And it's like, ugh.
Yeah, we're not doing that. We're not doing editing. We're not doing work.
Not even for any amount of pay on our delightful Subscribe Star, which I forgot if I mentioned this already because I've mentioned this a bunch of times in my head already. But this new segment and these episodes, these public ones, are brought to you by our backers on Subscribestar. Where if you go to our Subscribestar and give us money, you'll also see a bunch of extra bonus video, not just bonus videos, but it's like extra content, reviews of other comic books and stuff like that. You can only see that on our Subscribestar, and all sorts of critical analysis videos and like longer podcasts that we do. Those are only available through our Subscribestar now.
Basically, it's less expensive to just go and donate to our Subscribestar
Yes.
than to go without all of this extra content.
Exactly. But these videos, the weekly, basically Shitty Webcomics Weekly, will always be public and free, at least for as long as we exist, and we'll be mirroring them on our BitChute, and we're trying to get like some other ways to mirror videos too. We're looking for people to actually willingly mirror videos. And we're always looking for other support too. But the best way to support us, Subscribestar. And if you have any ideas for our Curious Cat, for sending us suggestions or questions, available on our Curious Cat. But anyways,
we deserve the support. That's
yes.
The important thing. We deserve it.
We deserve this. Anyways, speaking of deserves, so we saw this comic, this Sunday one, again posted as a GIF. And in kind of a small resolution these days, because it's the same resolution. So Tatsuya is not changing up his resolution. He's not changing the standard, and he never does animated panels or pages. So there's no reason for them to still be GIFs. It's really kind of stupid because all the images, when you go and see them, they're very grainy. Because GIFs only allow, I think, 256 colors max or something like that. Or
that's the thing.
The ones he's doing.
It's readable, but it actually came across like an edit. I was sure that somebody had edited it, just like they had before the very end of the life of our Tumblr blog.
Yeah, somebody was like, I remember when we first started reviewing Sinfest, people would do the Nazi Fest edits, which were, and I think after that, Paul started doing edits of like just GIF get out and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like super woke based fucking whatever, like just full on Nazi support unironically, but in Sinfest comic form. This one's kind of confusing, but in general it's making fun of the whole woke politics.
The first panel is extremely confusing. It's just a girl with her fist up in the air.
It's like a girl with Moscow hat and another girl with like Mao hat. Fucking, so it's just full on like communist regalia. I guess you could say communist coded clothing, and she's doing a fucking power fist in the air. And for those
just
who don't
mindless,
know,
just for no reason, it's the first panel at nothing.
Sinfest had gone super mega feminist about the time we started reviewing it again, like 2011, and even its own fans were like, "Oh, Sinfest he went super rad fem," and lately he's been going TERF, which is trans exclusionary radical feminist, which means a feminist who's against trannies.
Although people will say TERF just in response to anything now.
Yeah. Which, to the point where it doesn't mean
if you don't think that a 2-year-old should be given hormone injections, you're a TERF.
A TERF suddenly. But now,
and he also does draw all of the women to be super attractive, though, like perfect animu fat bait.
Yeah. Although
so that's how his feminist bona fides are very shallow, very thin.
I guess it could be worse. He could be doing Thickica, but that would technically, I guess that would only be more empowering. I don't know.
Yeah, to draw them Thickica, or to draw them just straight up obese.
Well, now he's going to be drawing them Thickica with 3 Ks.
The Triple K Mafia.
Is Tatsuya going white supremacist Asian? Perhaps.
They are honorary white supremacists,
Yeah,
as we all.
Tariq Nasheed described Asians as honorary white supremacists, and to be honest, I think he was onto something. You know, that Tariq Nasheed, he's right.
He's right about Asians.
So these cute kami girls, one of them is a demon because in the universe of Sinfest, demons are just like the devils are just regular
Well,
occurrences. They used to represent like evil sin, and
as
usually,
we're going to find out soon, actually, the men are the demons,
yeah,
and
that's what they're
the
supposed to
women are
represent.
just innocent.
The female demons were there to be exploited by the evil men, and that was always true since the beginning, even before the whole rad femme takeover of his comic. Takeover, I say that like somebody else took it over. He took it over himself.
Essentially, before they had the word simp, that's
Yes.
exactly what his behavior was.
Yeah.
Simping.
Yeah, even from like day one of Sinfest. Anyways, so the communist cute girls walk past the LGBTQIAPN store that has like brands of revolution. And the funny thing is, all this stuff is
The
just stuff other
revolution.
people criticize. Like the alt
Yeah, these are
light
not
had been
new.
criticizing this for fucking years before
Yeah,
Sinfest.
this is old news, but also
Yeah.
the revolution being a capitalist industry,
Yes.
even kind of basically predates his comic.
Basically, perhaps. There's
Basically.
also Insane Queer Posse Story Hour, which is like a mix of references, but you're basically saying that queers are insane, especially the trans story hour or drag queen story hour where drag queens would read to children and it would be paid for with tax money, like where drag
And they
queens would
would
be
simply be,
exposing themselves to children
yeah,
inappropriately.
literally just mentally ill, deranged men opening their legs in front of kindergarteners.
Yeah, and it's sort of like that Sam Hyde joke about wasn't it from the his TED talk where he was like the objectification, sexualization, and the abuse of women. It's gotten so bad that even I'm starting to have a problem with
They're
it.
sexualizing young girls, and it's getting to the point where even I have a problem.
Yeah, that's kind of that's like what's happening to Tatsuya is that the woke thing that he supported and wanted has gotten so bad that even he is having a problem with
And this
it.
is why I don't understand why anyone would still be a leftist unless you're mentally ill or you just hate everything. You're just so filled with hate that you would be a leftist. That's the only reason you would be one.
You almost have to give Tatsuya some credit though about the amount of branding that he's satirizing, that he's put the work into satirizing, not just the story hour thing, revolution. Notice that it's all like gay power fist and girl fucking Che Guevara.
Gay coded,
But then
gay coded, feminist coded, feminized
there's
coded.
Pornhub, but it's changed to pronouns, and then we can do it, and then the we can do
Yeah,
it girl. It's reveal. It's kind of confusing at first because it's we can do it, and it's like okay, so what? And then you scroll down and you see she is kneeling to some. I guess I don't know. Is it supposed to be a Chad soy boy or something?
I don't know. It's probably an established character of his famous lore that I haven't been keeping up with.
Mm-hmm. But you could see it's the whole trans thing. The entire problem he has is with
Well, the
trans,
Care
and
Bears
I
too.
wouldn't be
There's also
surprised if this comic actually started blowing up huge more than it ever has before. I wouldn't be surprised if he started
yeah.
getting more support. In fact, I can't exactly criticize this page at all, except that it looks more like he's just jumping on a bandwagon.
But yeah, what I know about him from his past is that this seems disingenuous to me.
Yeah.
It's either him trying to jump on a bandwagon or his mood swing, his mental
Yeah,
fucking
he
state
is
has
absolutely
swung
crazy.
so hard in the other direction.
Well, here, what his real point is that the whole trans thing is some other way to subjugate and objectify women,
Hmm.
which isn't true. but at the same time, that's his point here. So his point isn't even correct and doesn't really apply. But at the same time, it's critical of the fucking Truna loons or whatever the
It
squiddos
still
call it.
manages to be perfectly on target in a lot of ways.
Yes, but at the same time, for like the wrong reason. The way he's
And
like,
years late.
this is
Face it.
objectify. He's basically saying that this is bad because it's in some way negative towards women, as if women didn't want this, and as if
You know
he
what
didn't
would be
want this.
perfect? The best way to cap off this entire comic would just be a giant image of Slowpoke at the end.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's
Because
what's
that is
missing.
how late to the party. It's 2021, and
Mhm.
he's figuring out that communists are trying to subvert Western culture
Like
by
current year.
degrading it.
Yeah, it's like,
How?
what? You just figured this out. Yeah, that's the thing is that he basically has discovered that his own politics resulted in this. But the last panel is just them throwing away their literal, very blatant on the nose communist coding hats
And
into the
that's the end of
garbage.
the strip. That's the end of this one strip. Where's the joke? I don't see it.
Well, that's the thing. He's basically stopped doing jokes. He doesn't do jokes anymore. Now it's all about his story, the storyline. And that's pretty current or common. That's a current, I guess, whatever. For a lot of comics that go on long enough, is any funny comic will stop being funny after a few years. Um, the going to the next page, I'll keep going to the next page until the next Sunday page because we're just going to be covering like either a week's worth of comics or just one page. But I wanted to catch up with Sinfest because it's been a while for us.
Yeah, the alternative is to go and also fucking read the latest
Yeah, this one
page
has
of
a joke.
comic or what was it called? Questionable content,
Yeah,
which
which
I
actually
fucking
we'll
cannot
cover
stomach.
questionable content right after this, but the next page is we're now entering the no validation zone. Then everyone yells like it's on a fucking roller coaster. Wow.
Even though they're not going
Yeah,
anywhere
it's just
else, they're not
again,
going
it's a
up or
non
down.
sequitur because it has nothing to do with the previous or the next page. But here's more fucking going mega super based. Mask up, do as we say, trust authority. My kind of world says the fucking the
It's like the
executioner
fucking
gimp mask guy.
executioner, fucking some kind of S&M dungeon guy.
This was another one that got a lot of people's attention. I noticed was a bunch of like fake movie posters. Woke Man Rogues Gallery, The Shaman, Whitezilla, Red Scold, where it's Red Skull, but he says clean your room, stand up straight, pet a cat, which is a reference to some recent Marvel comic, I think, by the man with the self-segregating name of Ta-Nehisi Coates. That's how Jim Goad put it. Was he has a self-segregating name, but he wrote a comic where Red Skull was literally saying things that Jordan B. Peterson said, and it became this big thing. But it's weird to see Tatsuya sort of satirizing that because for 20 years before this, he was completely on the side of somebody like a Ta-Nehisi Coates. Um, and also the maskless. For some reason,
That is the
the
thing.
whole COVID thing he's against the COVID
Yeah.
hysteria.
Again, I mean, he's spent like the last 10 years or more essentially giving these people aid and succor.
Succor. Yes. And
But
now
I mean,
he
that's
got
what,
everything he
again,
wanted.
I don't
What happened to
understand
the
about
American
all these
dream? It
fucking
came
leftists.
true.
Is suddenly they have a problem.
Yeah.
Suddenly it's a big deal. It's not right that all the stuff that they've been promoting and
Like with John Cleese,
praising.
people pointed that out with John Cleese is that he was the same kind of guy, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh no, all the stuff that I was supported previously and I wanted, it came true, and now I'm like, oh no, it's bad now.
I don't like it. I don't
Hmm.
like this. All the stuff I did, I don't like it
That's
anymore.
what it would have happened if George Carlin were still alive and that kind of thing, and it's kind of a shame, I
Oh,
guess,
you
that
would hope anyway. You would at least hope they would be capable of noticing.
yeah,
Are they
at
even
the very
capable
least.
of noticing?
And people say that, oh, John Cleese is cringe for being against it, but it's like at least he's against it, which is
Yeah.
still
What do
willing
you
to
really
take that
want? Do you
risk.
want Do you want him to have flip-flopped after 40 years, or do you want him to just stay asleep forever?
Yeah, they live, we sleep. But the next page is uh, um, Angel character is like, I'm pretty sure he's done this exact joke in this comic about 100 times. When
Yes.
you're doing a daily comic, you basically have to retread the same ground if you or run out of ideas. Like even Bill Watterson, who is a very obvious basis for a lot of this comic, even from the beginning, he had to take 9 months off just to fucking give himself some extra space.
Well, then also eventually he quit.
Yeah, and then he quit. He
Hell,
he really only did the comic for 10 years, and one of those years was 9 months off, where they just reran his comic, which is bizarre, but it's also probably correct if you're actually making a good comic. The thing is, with Sinfest, there is no real deadline. Like he could take every other day off, and he doesn't because he thinks he has to,
yeah,
which
he
is
could do
again
a
kind of
weekly comic.
insane.
I don't know how popular it is exactly. I mean, people have heard of it, so
Here's one of the hypocritical things. There's a lot of hypocritical things before we move on, but it's like the angel character is like all you need is love, and then crashing in riots, and then the angel character buys a gun at the end. Haha. The thing is that you go back and read Sinfest. If you actually even skim the past 20 years, it was all about like, yeah, man, the revolution. We got to revolute. And, all the stupid, like the low IQ Rage Against the Machine equivalent. Or like,
it was extremely Whiggerish.
yeah,
If are
people
we
who
allowed to
got their
say that?
politics from like Green Day, basically.
Which
Um,
is some of the stupidest people
yeah.
to ever live,
Green
by
Day
the way.
or Rage Against the Machine, that artificially like corporate approved rebellion. That's basically what Sinfest always was from the
Corporate
very
approved
beginning.
rebellion, but people were actually fooled into thinking it was real, which shows how stupid they are.
Yes, fat pig, selfish fool. Um, but the whole thing is that he was preaching for this revolution, which is rioting, smashing windows, and now he's like, oh, this good angel character is like, oh no,
He's becoming the good angel character as a rooftop Korean now.
yes, which fucking even he doesn't. Even Tatsuya doesn't, of course, does not rise to the level of rooftop Korean. He's Asian, which is close enough, but then he just can't fucking hack it. This one's just another one that doesn't really say anything. It's some
Yeah,
guy's
this
like
one almost
woke,
doesn't make
woke.
sense. It's so simplistic. It's so scaled back in the message that it almost doesn't make any sense.
Also, every single comic has like the little tagline over his name that says "Revolution in a Bottle." And it's like, yeah, you were for this. You were completely for this a few years ago,
Yeah,
especially during the Trump era.
did you people forget suddenly? That is the thing, is
Did
these
you
people
forget what
seem
you
to
wanted?
forget.
That you wanted this?
They keep forgetting.
The,
It's like a war on noticing. It's
it,
also a war on
in a
remembering,
way, he's
apparently.
like a real matriarchal version of forgetting. He's a mother
You,
forgetter, you could say.
you could almost say that he's in hysterics over the.
um, let's see. Then the next one is demon girl does get your portraits, and then would you like super value deal, and then some girl with a shotgun walking past with a backwards hat, pretty rebellious, says I don't make deals with Satan. Whoa, he went there. Yeah, that's right. Tetsuya went there.
Yeah, you
He's
don't
really
make deals
rebellious
with
now.
Satan when Satan is offering you a little
Just a
portrait,
drawing.
a little just drawing a portrait.
Yeah, I guess that's bad. What does this mean exactly? And then above his name it says "Not today, Satan." And it's like, why? This reminds me of those Kelly comics by the Onion. I forgot what the guy's name. It
Yeah,
wasn't Joe Kelly or something. No.
I don't remember. Yeah, but yeah, it was like typical political cartoon shit.
Yeah, where in the corner would always be the self insert having some kind of quip based on the overall drawing. Tatsuya is like the really low IQ, especially for an
A
Asian.
less, a less clever.
Yes.
He is proof that it's not necessarily true that all Asians are smart.
Yes, he's a really Tetsuya Ishida is obviously a low IQ Asian. He probably has an IQ of like 110 or something.
merely
Merely,
105
yes.
IQ Asian.
Embarrassingly low. Oh, here's fucking more ads coming. Thank you, Brave, for popping up the little ads, which I want, actually. I don't give a shit.
I didn't actually see any ads.
Yeah,
I think it probably didn't stream it.
yeah, it probably doesn't stream. What I'm doing is I'm sort of doing a live stream over Discords just so my brother can see what I'm looking at. But then on OBS, I'm recording this, so OBS
And
is going to pick it up. But I
I've
don't
seen
care.
a bunch of these. I've seen this page in particular
Yeah,
already today or
this one is
yesterday.
this one's from yesterday, April 25th.
This
So
is the capstone to the whole arc.
well, especially because this is by far the most incoherent. All the other ones, at least, were coherent. This one, I don't know. It's like the girl with the shotgun, she walks away. Demon girl is like, ugh. Then girl with the shotgun is walking past other portraits. Then exploding glass bottles. And then one's on fire.
They're exploding like they're JRPG bombs.
Yeah, like they just teleported there or something. Because there's no sense of motion, so you can't even tell that they're being thrown or something.
Yeah, that's as far as I knew. They had just willed themselves into being on their own.
Yeah, they don't look like fire bombs, but then this one does.
That's what happens
Sort
when
of.
you can't draw. That's what happens when you're not good at drawing.
Yeah, when you're just used to drawing like little goofy cartoons. But then I guess woke zombies come up and she blocks an axe with her shotgun, which you think would defeat the purpose. I think a shotgun is supposed to have something
Yes.
else. Then a
Yeah,
hand is grabbing
the
money.
shotgun's made out of titanium or something. What the fuck?
Yeah, then a hand is grabbing money, and then some like this girl is like almost recoiling.
I
It
guess
looks
it's
like the
another.
demon
I
girl
thought
is
this was
recoiling from
another.
an explosion. She's
Yeah,
like,
it's
"Oh
another
no, an
Molotov.
explosion!"
This is another Molotov,
Yeah, or
but
something.
there's no glass. There's no glass this time.
Yeah, so it's like, what is the demon girl expelling fire or something? It's like, why don't you just do that all the time? Well,
Did she
if
block
somebody
a
turns you down
Molotov?
for a drawing, it's like, hey, you want a drawing? And they're like, no, you're a demon. Why not just do this to them? Just fucking shoot a fireball at
She
them.
blocked a Molotov with her hand.
But then cut to this girl is tripping the guy, and it's like, who? Wait, where is this? Is this
Her
the same
shotgun is
place
now
still?
her shotgun is now pointed directly at her own heart.
Yes, I wish that yeah, and there's no trigger on it, and it's just like a stick. I was like, wait, who is this? I couldn't.
There's
I
no
almost
barrel.
couldn't remember who this was or what was happening anymore.
There's no barrel either. There's no barrel any
Yeah.
longer.
I was like, where's the there's like no context. It's a bunch of random images almost. Um, but
That
then
also happen. That tends to happen when you fail to put in the continuity between panels.
this girl is like
He
drawing, so
violates
they
the
run away.
180 rule. How many times does he violate the 180 rule just in this one page?
That's the thing is that from here to here, the 180 rule is like completely back and forth, and incoherent and confusing, so that it's hard to keep up with. I was just looking at this one, and without seeing the previous one, because you need to see the previous one for context to know that. Like if you just saw this one, in fact, I kind of wish we started with this one because it would just make it more confusing and help make the point. But it's like what's going on and why is it going on? But anyways, so that's catching up with Sinfest. We'll catch up more with it later, I guess. Moving on to questionable content, which because I wanted to go on to another confusing comic just out of nowhere. Just covering one page, and I like how the top of this page, request to the server been blocked by an extension. Oh no! So whatever his ad at the top is just a dead link.
Oh
That's
no,
a
it looks
shame.
like we. It's almost like you have your ad blocker on.
But yeah, that's the thing is that I have Brave, so I guess that doesn't really count.
I have Brave, so he can go fuck himself.
That's fucking bullshit. Anyways, so this one's just 4 panels and
It's so typical of lazy
well, I
comic
can't
making.
tell who these characters are. I can't tell if this is the annoying oh yeah, Faye, the annoying cunt, if she's gone like full mohawk and flannel. And I think this other girl is Marten. I guess Martin became a girl as trans because he's just straight up drawing the same. It's the same face, the same eyes, the same nose, the same mouth, and the hair is just slightly longer. In fact,
His
the hair
art is
looks longer
not
from panel
improved.
1 to panel 2 here.
It's been years. It's been over 5 years since I've even looked at questionable content. He has not improved as an artist. This could be clip art for all I know. I have no idea.
To be honest, the art looks worse. But that could be and he gets a ridiculous amount of money. We covered that a long time ago on the blog. Is that he gets a ridiculous amount of money on his Patreon, to the point where I don't even want to look at it because it would just be annoying. So let me look at it. Jeff Jackson. However much. Okay, it says he has 12,000 patrons. Think about this. This comic gets 12,000 supporters. If they each donate $1, that's over $12,000.
$12,000 a month?
Yeah, per month at least. And for this level of work, he's looking at all that money and he's like, I don't have to do better. And indeed, he does not.
He doesn't have to do better. He doesn't have to do good. He doesn't even have to sink to the level of bad. He can be beneath bad.
Yeah, and he will keep getting this money. Usually people will just
$1
fail
per month.
to withdraw their money. That's what happened with Spoonie, after all.
Yeah. Although Spoonie, at the very least with Spoonie, when he burned out, he burned so many people that he lost a lot of money. It went from
all Spoonie had to do was just go silent. He would have kept all that money if he just went silent.
Yeah. He went from I don't know, what was it, 4,000 a month, 9,000 a month? He went down to 700 a month.
Yeah. Which is still actually a lot of money. You can't exactly live off of that. Not unless you're fucking an expert, not unless you're a real true vagabond or something.
It might be less than that now. I mean, that was also several years ago.
But yeah, how we explained it, the questionable content effect is, look at all that money, all those backers. You can't even see the money. He hides the amount. But the backer amount clearly is huge. And the effect of that is, if you made a web comic that appealed to every Portland coffee shop hipster on the planet, but especially in Portland.
If it appealed to the stupidest, the lowest common denominator of Portland coffee house hipsters.
And then you just have to update regularly enough, and then that's it. You're done. You don't have to do any better. You don't have to do anything good. You just have to make something regularly enough. You will basically peak and plateau, but it will be a high plateau because you have cornered the market. You have every single Portland coffee shop hipster. Anyways, this comic goes, how's the first half of your invite list going? Oh, it's stressful. Sorry, babe, the perils of a small guest list. I'm halfway, and right there, I'm cashing out. I'm like, okay, no, I'm done. I'm not interested in reading any more.
Nothing is happening. Do we need to see this? And the answer is no. It's one of the things.
Does this tell a story that is worth telling? The answer is no. Even the
format
of his website is the most generic. It's like WordPress default.
I'm trying to make a comic. Every single panel, I ask myself, does this need to be shown? And will somebody want to read this?
Yeah, one of the oldest rules of storytelling is every sentence must either inform about the character or advance the story. And there's just a bunch of this that's just this is the beginning of the slow burn generic slice of life bullshit that doesn't tell anything. It's just a lot of stuff.
There's nothing to tell or be told.
Mm-hmm. It's randomized, meaningless events just told in a string, and it could be any random.
I mean, that's simply from the element of structure and creation. We're not getting into the idea that he has basically turned his male protagonist into a female based on a kitsch, trendy fetish.
Well, we don't know that for sure. All I'm going by is this.
I'm assuming
this female looks exactly like Martin. I have no idea if it actually is or not.
I'm assuming,
and I don't
because
care.
Let's also face it. It doesn't matter if I'm wrong. It won't matter. It will never matter.
It's not relevant to this story. It's not like the story will be more or less interesting either way. But apparently they are getting married. These people are getting married, and so they're like, "Oh no, the guest list." It's trying to be relatable and there are always going to be people who are like, "Ah, wow, that is relatable," about something that just doesn't
So
matter.
relatable. But it's relatable to people who will never experience anything like this.
We used to read this again. We used to, well, not read this comic. I wouldn't read this comic. I would just glance over it and not actually read it. But I don't recognize any of these people in it. And when that's happening, your comic has basically gone on too long. That's why we kind of need new suggestions. So check out our Curious Cat. And next time we will answer some questions from the Curious Cat. I'll have more stuff set up and prepared. But moving on, basically we wanted to cover some bad webcomics and then the good web. We'll do the good webcomic for the week, which means we should just do one. And interestingly enough, I'm just going to Twitter for somebody I follow on Twitter, Baal Buddy, Baal Buddy on Twitter. He also has a porn account, but this is his work safe stuff where he does a comic. He just does comics that he says are based on Patreon requests.
A lot of people will be familiar with the art style because you could see it all over the internet.
Yeah, this is a comic that's
not
massively
the style
blowing
either.
up.
The specific author who does this, you'll see it everywhere. Everyone knows this guy. Everyone is reposting his work.
Yeah,
constantly.
even if not by name, you recognize it by the art style. It's that kind of thick black lines and well, not thick, but like it's sort of sketchy, but defined.
Semi-Western, semi-anime, but very detailed, ugly guys,
and actually weirdly funny.
Legitimately funny,
and shit.
Actually funny, as opposed to
most people wouldn't consider these comics. They would just consider them a series of drawings. But pretty much everything on this guy's account is a comic, even if it's just one panel. But usually it's like 2 or 3. And this one is the Isekai summoning, and it's just like, why do I keep getting average-looking Asian high schoolers? So they summoned fucking weeb. They basically just summoned fucking parody of weeb.
Supreme gentleman.
Yes. In fact, wait. It says, to save this kingdom, you must summon an older man, someone with an imposing stature, who has mastered the art of the blade and is unbound from conventional morality. But could such a warrior even exist? And then it's weeb, and he has been mastering the blade for many years.
He's perfectly mastered the art of the katana.
I really like the detail. Look at this. Just this art alone is already better than questionable content. And
it's just one panel. It's a single panel.
This is just one panel, and it's also instantly funny just seeing fast.
Also, yeah, notice in particular the 3 faces. They're all distinct from each other.
Yes.
They have distinct facial structures and features.
Whereas no character in questionable content has a distinct face, except for like 1 or 2.
Sinfest, except for maybe the angel character, whose head is distinct because it's just literally a circle.
But also has horn. The demon characters has horns. That's distinct. It's got horns. Oh, gee, thanks.
The girl characters have different hairstyles.
Yeah, but they're all same face. Whereas in this, like fucking nerd is. I mean, the females. Actually, I would say this lady usually she has a distinct face from the other ladies he tends to draw sometimes, where she's sort of like ordinary regal as opposed to some of the hot supermodels or sometimes monster girls that he draws.
Or elf chicks, elf waifus.
Yeah. And then even the anime chick on the guy's shirt, the lolly vampire monogatari, has like such a stereotypical anime face that is even distinct from the other faces.
It's from a specific anime that I've never seen.
Well, there is like a flesh fang on her too.
Oh, she does have the flesh fang.
She's got a flesh fang. And then he says, "Now I am the anime protagonist. Take me to the lollycat girl mates." And they're like, "No, I don't like this." But again,
This loser.
who is this gay loser? And he
He's
even has some
disgusting
funny
weeaboo as usual.
comments. The replies are, which goes to show if you can just fire off like three doodles or something, you can make a webcomic that gets popular on Twitter. In fact, I was thinking of going to like Stone Toss or something, but I want to keep it to one good comic per week. That way, we can stretch out the content. We'll probably be revisiting the good webcomic of the week or something.
Because
But
there aren't very many.
in fact, I get the most engagement and always have for years and years is whenever I just leave a comment on this guy's fucking things. It always gets a lot of likes, and it's like that is happy. I said I wanted to see how this one turns out. If he dies horrifically, that would be worth it. But if he's the greatest hero in the world, that'll also be worth it. Somebody replied to me saying, I bet he would have some kind of bad luck that lets him get away in the end with just his life and the goal reached by accident. That sounds very isekai, I guess. Someone else says, imagine being that dude waiting your entire life to be isekai'd and then getting sent back. He'd probably oof himself in Minecraft, perhaps. Plot twist, he then gets isekai'd from that, but as the villain and wants to take revenge. Actually, see again. This is such an interesting comic that people are coming up with interesting ideas for comics just in the replies, the reply guys.
Infinitely more interesting than anything in questionable content.
Yeah, and it's almost like just throwaway stuff. I don't know how hard Bale Buddy works on these, but these are just naturally funny.
They look good too. The art looks good.
Yeah, and just for like in a way for like sketchy doodles. But you could tell he has a lot of skill, and I think he worked hard at being able to do these faster, which is why he can just fire off a bunch of these. Like he'll do one every day or two. He'll do one of these, like a series of doodles or comics, and then also a porn one, and he gets supported on his Patreon for that, and I think that's very deserved. And I would like to think that he gets more money on his. In fact, where is this guy? I'm sure he links to his Patreon somewhere. Where is it? Twitter, Patreon. I must be 18 or more.
Are you 18?
I'm 18. Shit, no. This guy has 260. Oh, wow. I guess I want to say that's disappointing, enraging, maybe a mix of both.
I guess there's no justice.
No justice. Maybe there should be no peace. I don't know. But this guy deserves like 1,000. He certainly deserves more backers than fucking questionable content. I thought he would. I wouldn't have been surprised. But the thing is, he's kind of still growing
10,000.
too.
He deserves 10,000 more backers than questionable content has.
I would go support him right now, but it's like I'm not going to do that on stream. But yeah, he doesn't even get 1,000 per month. That's kind of fucking a shame. 761. I want to see this go up.
What are you people doing? You people are all Philistines.
You sons of bitches. But yeah, so here I'm promoting this guy's stuff. But also to wrap up, for now, this will be this. I don't know. I don't want these episodes to be an hour long, but we will be doing every week. We'll be catching up on a weekly.
They'll probably be shorter. All the other episodes after this will hopefully be shorter.
Hopefully. That maybe they'll be shorter, maybe they won't. But we want to do this setup episode. Remember, this is being supported by our Subscribe Star backers. We would have a Patreon too, but to be honest, our Patreon's for something else now. So if you want to support our videos, go to our Subscribe Star. It's linked below. If you want to suggest comics or just whatever, say whatever, the Curious Cat is linked below. It has
you can send us asks. That's the thing is we used to do ask blocks, and you can send us questions, or you can make a comment.
We'll be doing another ask block again soon too, and that will be a public video. So you can check that out and like, share, comment, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and remember, should have listened to Shitty Webcomics.